Hello out there in cryptocurrency land. Welcome back to Real Crypto. Thanks for joining me here today. All right, so it looks like Bitcoin's fallen down from this bear flag pattern. We've been talking the past couple of videos about staying defensive in the market, and this is basically the reason why. When you're in a bear flag situation, these are very high probability setups. These actually very rarely fail, especially with a nice downtrend in front of them. And now we're seeing Bitcoin just starting to poke its head down, getting a little bit of a feeble bounce here. Needs a lot more volume for this thing to get going. But so far, it looks like we're breaking down from this bear flag, and down we go. Now, if we go ahead and take a measured move out of this bear flag, what we can do is imply a downside target of about $7,200. So we take the most recent high to the low of this bear flag, and then we can go ahead and move from the high of the bear flag down to this area, which gives us about 7113 is what it actually comes out to, 7113. But I'm calling it 7200. Reason being is because we have this area over here of some support right there, coinciding with kind of the top of this prior consolidation point. And these targets to the downside are not necessarily bounce targets. They don't come down here and bounce. As a matter of fact, if you recall, we had a measured move based off of this scenario, coming down to this little smaller consolidation. You can see right there. And if we move this one around, we get down approximately down to this level, but notice it goes down beneath it. So these measured move targets aren't always exact. Sometimes they bounce exactly, sometimes they don't. But you know, it's more importantly that we get down towards this area of 7,200, 7,000, and ultimately towards the bottom of this larger symmetrical triangle pattern in Bitcoin. And that does not bode well for cryptocurrency or Bitcoin overall right here, because if we end up living down here, we're probably going to roll over and end this trend line, move to the downside, and subsequently begin our run all the way down to whatever that ultimate capitulation low may be. 2,400 to 3,600 has been my range we've been discussing for many months now, as a matter of fact. And I have been neutral on the market as of late based off of this Adam and Eve pattern right here. If you're not familiar with that, you can basically take this, what I'm just calling it a neckline for lack of a better term. You've got this V bottom here, and then after this V bottom, you basically have a U-shaped pattern. And this U-shaped pattern is supposed to, resolve itself more than likely to the upside. That's kind of the general thesis. So this is the Adam and Eve pattern. It's a V followed by a U, and we actually didn't even get up close to this 11,775 pattern. And so that, combined with the most recent breakdown of this bear flag, does lead me to be basically bearish in regards to Bitcoin as of right now. It doesn't appear that there's that much bullish behavior going on. The bulls have stepped aside. We couldn't even quite get to 10,000 on this most recent run up. So there's definitely a bunch of distribution in this market. And even if it's not a ton of selling, there's definitely a lack of buying. And either of those are bad overall for the price of Bitcoin. So there you got it. Most, probably our next leg down to the 7,200 area, maybe chop around 7,000. And then ultimately we may end up piercing this upward sloping trend line. And we'll obviously have more videos between now and then. When that happens, we'll re-ascertain what's going on with the market, because like I've been saying, and I've been saying this for a while, every single new candle that we get in the charts kind of lays out the odds, in our favor or out of our favor, bullish or bearish. Every single new candle lays out a new path for the market to take on. And that's what technical analysis is, ladies and gentlemen. It's not a crystal ball to see into the future. It is a way to kind of ascertain whether we're accumulating, meaning buying, or distributing, meaning selling cryptocurrencies. And that can tell us the tale of which direction we're most likely to go. All right, so since Bitcoin's been rolling over, a lot of the other top altcoins have been rolling over as well. We have Ethereum, which was in the throes of a very nice run. So let's back it out here. You can see this kind of pink line here. We've been in the middle of a very nice run. We broke it to the downside here, and we've actually failed to get over that breakdown point right here at about the 733 level, somewhere around there. You can see we tried several times and failed, rolling over in Ethereum. Still living above this low, however, which is a little more bullish than most of the larger altcoins, I'll say that. So there's a chance that Ethereum doesn't necessarily break down, albeit if Bitcoin breaks down, I don't think Ethereum is going to be the last outlier. We thought that was going to happen. We thought that was going to happen over here based on the fact that it was running after Bitcoin topped, but the selling pressure became too much and it just started rolling over again. So I would probably anticipate if Bitcoin rolls over, Ethereum will probably roll over right along with it. Taking a look at Litecoin here, we can see that most recently, Litecoin has been respecting this little trend line here, albeit this will probably be broken to the downside. Again, Litecoin will trade in concert with Bitcoin. If Bitcoin fails, you can expect Litecoin to fail, but there's a decent possibility that it bounces. And there's one thing I see in the charts here is that Litecoin failed to go over the 200 period moving average you can see here in the purple. So I do have to say this though, guys, on the 2-hour chart, the 200 period moving average is a very good bellwether for intermediate term price on pretty much all charts. So that's something interesting to note there. But you can see that we failed right here at the 200 period moving average. And Bitcoin Cash actually rolling over, being a little weaker than the other large altcoins. And you can see this trend line in Bitcoin Cash putting in a type of potential, multiple head and shoulders pattern. But overall, it's a very interesting pattern. There's no like definitive, well, I guess there's one definitive head, so I'm not sure if I want to call this a shoulder or a head. It could be a double head, it could be a double shoulder. It's sitting right in the middle, but either way there's a well-defined trend line here. And if you treat this like some kind of a weird head and shoulders pattern, that actually takes us back down to 711 in Bitcoin Cash, which would be all the way back down here. So that would be quite the move from Bitcoin Cash. If it were to, run up 100% and then retrace that entire move, that would be quite a turnaround play for Bitcoin Cash, and not in a good way. So you can maybe keep an eye out for that potentially if you're looking for shorts, because I mean that's gonna give you like a 45% move to the downside there. You're definitely not getting 45% in Bitcoin in the near future. But if Bitcoin does get down here to 7,200, you may anticipate Bitcoin Cash, having that large move. But that's a pretty extravagant move. This is only about 13% down to the 7,200 level. But Bitcoin Cash is a lot more volatile than a lot of those. And let's take a look at XRP to kind of round out some of the top cryptocurrencies. And as we can see here, XRP, one of the first ones actually to roll over, having a topping area over here towards kind of the 93 cent level, kind of at that 93 cent level, rolling over and subsequently having lower highs, lower lows, and just kind of rolling over right now. So Bitcoin not looking good. Most of the cryptocurrencies not looking good. There are a couple of altcoins that are still kind of holding on, however, and some of the ones we've been looking at, I'll walk you through a couple of them here. Won't spend a bunch of time on them. But we've been looking at CMT, which has really been holding up nicely, putting in a nice declining wedge right here. If you can't see that, I'll go ahead and draw that out for you. That looks like a fun little wedge. Nice little declining wedge for you there in CMT after trying to break out of this consolidation, this much larger consolidation. Let's zoom out on the 2-hour. You can see here CMT coming up to all-time highs, having a nice little pause. Hopefully we can get some movement in CMT if Bitcoin holds. If it holds, we'll have to see what happens if it rolls over. And then AE we've been talking about for quite some time. I mentioned it in a video, I think a couple of videos ago. There's a nice declining trend line right here. Actually a channel right there in AE. AE moving sideways here, then curling up and having some really nice action, holding up very well relative to, well, basically everything, and working really, really good right here. And another one that we've been looking at recently is PPT. This was mentioned in the Power Hour today, and I thought it was a very interesting situation here. So what we have is essentially a coin living near the lows, coming out of a potential or a declining trend line with decent volume coming out of these lows. So there's a possibility here for a run in PPT. So that could be interesting as well. But, keep an eye on some of the altcoins. These are some ones that are holding up pretty good. Others obviously are failing. But as Bitcoin gets weaker and weaker, we'll have to wait and see how the altcoins respond. But overall, the altcoins do move with Bitcoin. So as we get down towards the 7,200 level, we will definitely reassess and have some more videos out for you guys. Thank you for joining me today. Please like the video if you like the video. Please leave a comment. YouTube really likes these videos when you leave comments. So let me know what you think. Are we getting down to 7,200? Is this just going to be a bounce? Are we going to bounce maybe off of this area of prior support at the 7,800 level? That could be kind of our last line in the sand for Bitcoin before getting all the way down here. There's basically just one big candle between these two areas. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I'll be happy to chat with you guys. Feel free to check out my website, real-crypto.com, where we have some good webinars on market cycles. If you're curious how the markets generally work and play out, that market cycles webinar is a great place to start. And we also talk about how to buy the bottom in Bitcoin in one of our webinars. And if we do get a drop below this trend line here, that's going to be a very valuable webinar. Go rewatch it if you guys have already bought it. So, all right, guys, thanks for joining me today. I'll see you next time.